Back here, we'll go back on the record and proceed with the first witness, first round.
Yes, you're going to call Mark Swanson.
This is our first hearing in this room. You get a real place to sit up there. You were here earlier to be sworn in the record.
Yes, I was.
Taken into the record.
Mark Swanson.
Oh, I'm a long way away from you.
It is a long way.
Compared to that little room we used to have. Let's go here.
Might want to move the podium back.
No, it's okay. I don't know. Fine. He's going to be talking here all anyway. Now it's fine.
This podium's going to be the death of us all here, isn't it?
Could you state your name for the record?
Mark Swanson.
Mr. Swanson, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the director of the Beach Safety.
Can you please tell the board a little about your employment background?
I was hired by Beach County Beach Safety in January of 2013. Prior to coming here, I worked for Back Ambulance for 31 years and left there as the clinical services manager. In addition to that, while I was working at EVAC, I was also a Daytona Beach police officer for the past 14 years. And I started my career in 1979 as a foreman firefighter.
Did you have any special duties when you were at EVAC with regards to standards and conduct and things of that nature?
Yes, as part of my job as a clinical services manager, I also manage the Office of Professional Standards and Conduct.
Can everybody hear him okay? You don't hear him?
Yeah, as you can. Speak up a little bit, it's fine.
Hang on.
I figured some furniture was going to get there at some point.
How's that? The professional standards that you talked about at EVAC, what kinds of things did that involve?
It involved any violations of policy and procedure. It involved any investigation, any inquiry that came through my office was investigated. My manager told me to take care of all the disciplinary action that resulted from those complaints and those investigations.
Could you tell the board just a little bit about the process that you went through for appointment to the beach director position? What did you have to do?
As far as the interview process?
Well, did you apply and
When I learned on the county website that the position was available, I applied for it. I met all the functional requirements for that position. I applied for it. I actually went through the interview process and was appointed as the director in January of 2013.
when you became the director of beach safety, did you have certain goals, visions, things for this department that you wanted to accomplish, that you want to accomplish?
Absolutely. I had some goals to, number one, keep us on an even path. There have been some issues previously with beach safety, beach patrol that I didn't want to reoccur. So I came in and my goal and intention was to keep us on a steady path, being professional, promoting customer service, and shedding a little light on Volusia County.
Obviously, you've been in Volusia County for a long time, so were you aware of the problems with the beach department or the reported problems through the media that had gone on for the last few years when you came into office? And did you have a plan with regards to trying to repair that reputation?
Well, I set up several meetings when I first came in because my intention was to let the employees know what my direction was, so that there was no question as to what I expected. And I came in, I set up meetings with the employees, and set up the meetings to where I made them available so that every employee had the opportunity to attend. It was actually a mandatory meeting. So I set up at the beginning of shifts and the end of shifts so that I could get my employee. And basically told them that I was a man that held people accountable for what they did and what they didn't do, and that I wanted things on the beach to be positive, and I wanted to be on a positive track. I came in and I said, well, we're going to have a new name, we're going to have a new look, and we're going to have a new direction. And I communicated that with all the employees.
And that was in January 2013?
Probably closer towards the end of January.
Okay. Did feedback either before you talked to the employees or since you've been there about how they feel about the perception of the beach department and what they'd like to do in terms of fixing it?
Yeah, they want pretty much what I want. They want it to be professional down there. They want to be viewed as a premier agency. There are people, not everybody can do the type of job that they do down there. It's actually triple certified employees that it's a demanding job. Not everybody can do it, and they just want to be. They want it to be positive. They don't want. They've been through a lot, and they don't want to go back down there.
You say some of the board members may not be familiar with, what do you mean by triple certified?
Triple certified means that there are lifeguards, law enforcement officers, and emergency medical technicians.
The meetings that you held with the employees, did all of the employees attend one or more meetings with you?
Yes, they do.
And would Mr. Snipes have been present at one or more of
Yes.
those meetings?
Yes.
So tell the board with regards to conduct and the conduct of your employees, what you told them about their actions going forward.
Well, like I said, I wanted the things to be professional, and I wanted the image that we portray to the community to be positive. I told them basically, if it doesn't look good on the newspaper next day, then don't do it. If it doesn't look good on the TV the next day, don't do it. And just be professional.
Did you tell them that you had a zero tolerance policy
Yes, I did.
for conduct issues?
Yes, I did.
Do you believe that your message was clear?
I do.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the beach patrol. Is that an accredited agency?
Yes, it is. Commission of Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation sets standards and provides directives and assets, LE agencies which have met statewide standards. The goal is to assist agencies in delivering professional public safety agencies and services.
Okay, and that's on the board. In lay terms, what does that mean? As an accredited agency?
Basically, as an accreditation agency, they come in, they review all of your policies and procedures. And not only do they review them, they also make sure that the employees understand them. So they talk to employees, they ask them questions about certain policies, to make sure that all the policies are in place, and they explain to them, make sure that he knows the policies.
Do they provide what are called model policies so that your department must follow or have something similar to, so that for accreditation purposes?
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately, I haven't been through one of the accreditation inspections. It was done prior to me coming in. However, we do have another one coming up within the next year and a half or so. But yes, they do come in there, they give guidance, and they show you where the things you can do.
Are you familiar with the, in general terms, what a canon of ethics is for law enforcement officers?
Yes.
Can you just talk to the board a little bit about the importance of that and why it's important for law enforcement officers to have high ethical conduct?
Well, I have a couple, here that I brought with me. First of all, our policy and about the canon of ethics.
Hang on.
I understand we were doing some background here, but now it seems we're getting very far afield from the purpose that we're here today with regards to, now we're talking about ethical standards that are apart from the county policy that my client is being accused of violating.
I'm asking about the code of ethics and ethics that's within their directives and what that, he was charged with code of conduct violation. It's relevant.
Well, if, I'd like for her to witness, are you reading off some of the documents, sir?
It's off of one of our directives, yes.
Okay, could you please announce that for the panel, what you're reading off of, so all of us are privy to that, because I haven't been provided, you're reading from a document that council hasn't provided me a copy of.
And I was in the process of letting you know what I was going to be reading from.
Well, I'll let you proceed.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, I'm reading from the Volusia County Department of Public Protection, Beach Safety Division. It's the Department Standards and Directive. It has to do with canon of ethics, and I'm reading the purpose. And the purpose is the directive is ensure that the division personnel are aware of their actions and attitudes expected of them, and provide the members of the public with general standards by which they can measure the performance of the division. And then below there, on the oath of the office, and this is an oath that they take. It says, I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Government of the United States and the state of Florida, and I am duly qualified to hold oath under the office of the Constitution of the state, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of the state and Volusia County on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Why is, that's all I have.
Excuse me, violating that? Because it's not been noticed for that he's violating that rule of ethics. This is something new.
This is background information to support the findings or to support the charges with regards to the code of conduct. This is the part of the code of
We're
conduct.
reading the code of ethics
It's not-
that he hasn't been charged with violating.
It's not a directive that they're charged under. It's a description of what the directives are, how they're required to follow the directives.
I understand, I appreciate your effort to keep us on point, about that.
That's all, that's it. That's it. Director Swanson, I would like to ask you to direct your attention to Monday, July 15, 2013. Were you made aware of some text messages and Facebook posting that caused you some concern?
Yes, I was.
Please tell the board about that and what you did in response to that.
I was actually on some PL time when I received a phone voicemail on my county issued cell phone from Mr. Dowling. It basically stated that he needed to speak with me at my earliest convenience. I told him that I was coming back to work the next day, but if he'd like to meet with me, I'd be more than happy to speak with him. Since he knew that I came over the Port Orange Bridge on my way to work during the day, he asked if he could meet me on the Port Orange Bridge at 7 o'clock in the morning, which I told him I would.
And just, who is Mr. Dowling?
He's a former employee of Volusia County, DC.
Was he working there when you became the director?
He actually retired the same week that I started.
But he obviously knew who you were. And
He
you
knew who I was, and I knew of him. I didn't know him personally, but I knew who he was.
Okay. Go ahead. What you met, so he asked to meet you. Did he tell you over the phone why he wanted to meet with you?
I asked him what it was in relationship to, and he said he didn't want to talk to me over the phone, but he wanted to talk to me in person. And that was why I had set up the time to meet with him.
So what did you do?
I met him underneath the Port Orange Bridge at 7 o'clock the following morning, which I believe would have been the 16th.
You said 16.
Which would have been the 16th. And I pulled into the parking lot. I saw him sitting in his silver Toyota Tacoma. And I pulled into a parking space, a couple of spaces over from where he was. He got out of his vehicle, walked up to the window of my vehicle. I didn't get out of my vehicle. He walked up to the window. And as he was walking up, he was shaking his head, saying, "I can't believe this. I can't believe Todd Snipes sent this." He showed it to me on his cell phone.
What did he show you?
He showed me the picture of Paula Dean with some verbiage attached to it, which I have right here.
Okay.
He showed that to me. Yes, that's
On his phone?
on his phone, yes.
Okay.
And then he showed that to me, and he asked me if I would like him to send this to me, and I said, absolutely not, do not forward that to my cell phone.
Okay, yeah, and can, just as you're going along, we want to make sure the board understands, he asked you, do you want him to forward that to your phone?
Yes. to
The
my
text
phone.
message?
Yes.
Okay, all
He
right.
said, would you like me to forward this to your phone? I said, absolutely not, I don't want that coming across my county issued cell phone. I told him that I had no way at that point of downloading that information, so that I wanted him to be in contact with Captain Dave Banis, who is our investigator within the department, and that he would be contacting me to obtain that information.
Did Mr. Dowling indicate to you why he was reporting this to you?
He said, in his words, is the beach has been through enough, and I don't want them to go through this again.
What did you think he was referring to?
This was some past issues that they've had with some other employees, some scandals with some other employees in the past.
Did he say anything to you about media attention or concern about media attention or anything like that, specifically?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Was it your understanding, or did Dowling tell you that he had received the text messages from Mr. Snipes?
Yes, he did. He mentioned Mr. Snipes' name. I did not see Mr. Snipes' name or anything on the picture. It was just basically a picture on his phone. I didn't see Mr. Snipes' name. As a matter of fact, I didn't know if actually that's being sent until I had actually seen that.
So basically what you saw was just the first picture.
I just saw the picture.
You did not see any of the other photos at that time? And did Mr. Dowling show you or say anything to you about a Facebook post at that time?
That was the only picture he showed me. That's all.
Why were you concerned about the picture that you saw?
Because I was offended by it. In light of the situation of the Trey Van Martin and George Zimmerman case just previously being handed out. I was offended. It was not it's never a right time to send that, but it certainly wasn't the right time in a lot of situations.
Did you then, or what did you do after you talked to Mr. Dowling?
As I saw him, I was probably with Mr. Dowling for probably less than 5 minutes. As I was leaving from underneath the Fort Orange Bridge, I immediately picked up my county issued cell phone and called Captain Danis, briefed him on what I had seen and what I had been told, and I told him that he needed to contact Mr. Dowling so that he could obtain the information. Wanted to make sure if there was any evidence involved that it was preserved.
Did you give Mr. Vanis any direction about, besides obtaining the evidence from Mr. Dowling with regards to getting any other records initially?
When I also told Captain Vance, when he came back and showed me what he had downloaded from Mr. Dowling, I immediately told him to create a timeline for me as to when the texts were sent and if Mr. Snipes was working on duty at the time, just the timeline so that I had people that I had to report this information to as well.
Okay, approach the witness.
Can I see please
Oh, I'm sorry.
Council's approaching the witness with? You're authenticated? Because there's issues with sent to what?
Yeah, no, this witness.
Okay, sure.
I'm not doing it.
All right.
Does that look like what Mr. Vanis came back to you with?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And generally, just tell the board what that document, don't read it to them, but what is it?
This is basically the pictures that were sent, and it's actually showing that in the first picture, it's showing that Mr. Snipes was on duty at the ocean deck while this was being sent.
So the document that Mr. Vanis came back to you with, which was that the same day, the 16th?
Yes, it
That
was.
it was first reported to you?
It was later that morning.
Okay. Was information he quickly gathered to determine whether Mr. Snipes had been on duty at the time
Yes.
text messages were initiated?
Yes.
Okay, all right. When you said that Mr. Snipes was on duty at the outside, at the ocean deck, can you explain to the board what an outside detail is?
The outside detail is the ocean deck calls our scheduling department. They have certain things that are extra events that they have down here that are approved by the county council for them to have. And one of the requirements is that they have that safety officer there. And we contract with them to do that. So what they do is they call us to give a list of the times and the dates that they're having those events. And we put our employees, schedule our employees for those events. The employees are paid, they punch into Chronos, which is our timekeeping program in the county. They clock into Chronos while they're working there, and we keep track of their time, and then we build the ocean deck for that time. So basically, when they work there, they're one of our employees in uniform, able to perform their duties.
So they're acting as a law enforcement, in a law enforcement capacity?
Yes.
Okay. They're considered to be on duty?
Yes.
Wearing uniform,
Yes.
badge, gun, the whole nine yards?
Correct.
Okay. What did you do when you got that information that I just handed you from Mr. Vanis, the timeline that showed the photos and when they were sent?
After receiving the timeline from Captain Vance, I contacted Terry Sanders, who is the Deputy Director of Public Protection, and I told him that I had some information that I needed to share with him, and he could come by and safety and sit down with Captain Vance and myself so we could fit in. I didn't give any information on the phone at that time, I just told him we discussed something else.
What about that made you feel you needed to contact essentially your supervisor?
Terry is
Okay.
yes, basically, it reflects unfavorably upon the department, and also it reflects unfavorably on the county. And therefore, I have things that I have obligations that I have to notify my supervisor.
Did you know at that time, on Tuesday, when you first became aware of this, whether or not any of this would end up being in the media? Did you have any contact from the media or anything like that?
I've never had any contact with the media at all.
Was that a concern?
It was a concern, yes.
What happened after you contacted Mr. Sanders?
Mr. Sanders came in and we sat down and filled it in, showed him the timeline, showed him the pictures and all that. And Mr. Sanders concurred with me and told me that I would need to send a letter to Mr. Rectenwald, who is the Director of Public Protection, asking for an internal affairs investigation.
When you say he concurred with you, what What are you referring to?
Concurred that that was inappropriate.
And that's something,
Actions were inappropriate.
and that an internal investigation should be initiated. And did you make that request of Mr. Reckenwald?
I did. I had a letter drafted and sent a letter to Mr. Reckenwald the following day.
And what did you ask him in that letter?
Basically asking for an internal affairs investigation to be conducted
Into,
the circumstances that I discovered.
when the internal investigation was initiated by Mr. Reckenwald, what was Captain Snipes' status? Was he working? Was he?
He was on administrative leave being paid.
Okay. And can you tell the board, what does that mean?
Means
Somebody's
that
on administrative leave with pay?
He's on administrative leave with pay, which means he still has to be available between the hours of 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, in case we need to contact him for anything related to the case.
Okay. The county was paying them.
Correct.
Okay. At some point during the internal investigation, I assume that once the internal investigation was started, you didn't have anything to do, you weren't involved in
No, I
it?
did not.
Okay, that's not something you should be involved in?
No.
Okay.
Once I had sent the letter, that was the last communication I had.
Okay. At some point during the investigation, were you made aware by Captain Vanis that Captain Vanis had requested Mr. Snipes to come in for an interview and that there was some issue with that?
Yes.
Can you just tell the board a little bit about that?
Captain Vanison called Mr. Snipes in to receive the document talking about his interview. And I guess Mr. Snipes, under the direction of his counsel, refused to come in and give that document.
To be clear, this was a notice setting the interview. Captain Vanis wasn't trying to interview him without his attorney or
No,
anything?
no. This was just to get a letter stating that when this interview was scheduled.
Okay. So did you become involved in that?
I did. I actually called Captain Mr. Snipes and told him he needed to come in and take care of that work and come in, and he did come in and do that.
Were you interviewed by Captain Vanis as part of the internal investigation?
No, I was not.
Do you know why you weren't interviewed?
Well, I was the complainant, and I had no other information that I could have provided other than that.
So you had provided everything you had,
Everything, yes.
and you weren't, I'm sorry,
I had nothing else to provide.
you weren't a recipient of the text message,
No.
anything like that, so you had no personal knowledge?
No, I clearly saw the picture, and that was it.
After the internal investigation was concluded, were you made aware of the findings?
I was.
And did you review the internal investigation, including the report that summarized the?
Yes, I read it, yes.
Were you involved in the discussions or any discussions with Mr. Reckenwald as to what standards were violated, or what standards were violated and what penalty may be appropriate for that?
Yes, I was, very briefly, and I did learn that the intent was to send a letter of intent for termination.
Did you share with Mr. Reckenwald what your concerns were as the director of the beach with regards to continued employment for Mr. Snipes?
Yes, I did.
And can you tell the board just a little bit about that?
My concern is can an officer, after doing this, can they remain, can they be trustworthy? Can they remain impartial? Can everybody be treated fairly? And, I have concerns with that. And I relayed that to Mr. Director.
And to be clear, during the internal investigation, this information was released by the media, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And so it was no longer a private situation, was it? Did that enter into your thought process in terms of the effect of this on your department?
Right, because now it wasn't just something internal that was taking place with the employees or whatever. Now this was everywhere. It was out in the media, it was in the newspapers, it was everywhere. So, when something like this happens, it doesn't just affect that one employee, it affects the entire organization. Whether it's positive or negative, anything that takes place, it affects the whole organization. So, yeah, the employees were not happy. Many of them said to me, here we go again.
Did you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The objection, I understand we do permit a certain amount of hearsay in these hearings, but unidentified people now making comments, here we go again, that's really stretching the hearsay rules.
I think it's appropriate for him to describe what the.
He should have to identify the people. piece. I mean, he's given hearsay testimony regarding what Captain Manis said to him. And I understand as the personnel rules allow for it. But now he's not even identifying the people that he's claiming have come to him and told him, here we go again. That's really stretching hearsay.
Well, we may stretch it once in a while, without done.
Yes, sir.
I understand where you're going.
Did you concur with the decision to terminate Mr. Snipes?
Yes, I did.
And why did you feel that termination was the appropriate penalty when you considered his length of service and as well as the nature of the violation?
Mr. Reckenwald had conversations with all the employees prior to me coming in about being professional and being on that track. And I came in and I did the same thing. And, you know, law enforcement officers are held to a higher standard. And, you know, the standards of conduct expected of is because their effectiveness depends on how they react and how they get respect and confidence from the community. So,
Did you feel like that was damaged?
I did.
That Mr. Snipes' ability to do that was damaged by his actions?
yes, I did.
Were you present when Mr. Snipes came in to meet with Mr. Reckenwald after the notice of intent to terminate was provided to him and he came in to meet with Mr. Reckenwald? Were you present for that meeting? Can you tell us about what happened there, what Mr. Snipes said, and mitigation and attempts to mitigate?
Mr. Snipes came in and basically he admitted to sending the text and admitted what he had done. And said that he was no longer on Facebook anymore and didn't have the intention of going back on Facebook. The only thing that kind of threw me off is the fact that he came in and admittedly said he did what he did, but he never offered any way of how he would fix what he had done. And that was one of those.
Tell us what you mean by how you would fix it. Are you talking about with regards to the reputation of the department, or are you talking about his effectiveness? What are you referring to?
I'm talking just what the community could see. If he came in, could he go to a group of people? Could he go to the county council? Could he go to somebody and just basically say, yeah, I really made a mistake. I did this wrong. This is how I plan on fixing it. You know, he could have had some solution to how he could have maybe explained why he did what he did and how he didn't intend to do that again. That's what I was waiting for.
When you talk about his effectiveness as a law enforcement officer going forward with regards to himself as well as the citizens of Volusia County, what are your concerns there?
My concerns are being impartial. You know, can he treat everybody the same? Can he treat everybody equal? How do the citizens view that? You know, the general community, how's he going to react? And there's a question there, and it's a question of trust.
Question of trust. Is it a concern about him being impartial or the perception of him being impartial or both?
The perception.
Have any further questions at this time? Mr. Harr will probably have some questions for you.
Mr. Swanson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're probably there.
We're still morning.
Mr. Swanson, you just testified, Ms. Jones, that in light of the Trayvon Martin case, you felt that the text that my client sent were offensive.
Yes.
Okay, sir, I'm going to show you the two texts that he sent. Please let the record reflect I'm showing opposing counsel, panel members. Tell me where on this text it references Trayvon Martin or George Zimmerman.
It doesn't reference him, but
Okay. And at the same time, Paula Dean was losing her television show because she had made a comment, right? I'm sorry, sir?
yes.
And the comment, the word that she used is actually on that cartoon, is it not?
Yes.
So this is a cartoon about Paula Dean.
Yes.
Okay. Now, please let the record reflect on showing opposing counsel, panel members. This is the second and only other cartoon sent by my client. Tell me, please, where you you see a picture or any words referencing Trayvon Martin?
There is none on there.
Okay. So how are you connecting these two pictures to offensive remarks that violate the county's policy?
It's the perception of those pictures being sent.
It's your perception, sir, and that of Mr. Reckenwald. Where in the policies that my client has been charged with does it say your perception is determinative of whether or not an employee is fired? Where does it say what he's been charged with?
It says criminal dishonest of the conduct of job forms. Any conduct on or duty reflects unfavorably on the county as an employer. That reflects unfavorably on the county as an employer.
How so?
Because of that.
County employees aren't allowed to send cartoons mocking Paula Dean or send untitled pictures of someone we don't even know. That's not allowed.
No, it is not.
Wow. Can I see that, please? No, that's policy. Okay, so let's look at what my client's been charged with, because ultimately that's what we're here about. That he made a racist comment. Where has he made a racist comment on any of these pictures?
When you take George Simmons.
Sir, I just asked you a question. Where has he made a racist comment? This is what he's been charged with. I'm just asking you to focus, sir, on what he's been charged with. Where does that meet?
It's on hold.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you, Ms. Jones, and unfortunately, panel members, I have to jump around on cross-examination. So Ms. Jones asked you about the interview for the IA that Mr. Snipes was there. I was in attendance, was I not?
Yes.
Captain Vanis was in attendance too, wasn't he?
In the interview with Mr. Snipes?
Yes, sir.
I was not present, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to keep, what you testified here to the panel members was, it struck you that my client didn't offer to do any sensitivity training or anything like that. Well, what you're going to find, actually you won't, but he actually did offer that to Captain Vanis. What I'd like you to do, since you made that statement, is review his interview and tell me where he was even asked by Captain Vanis what he would do in terms of preventing it, aside from the things that he said in his interview, such as not going on Facebook. I just want to ask it.
If I could just object, first
It's
of
called
all,
impeachment.
It's not impeachment, this witness is not, that's not this witness's testimony. My questions were with regards to the meeting with Mr. Reckenwald after the notice of intent had been delivered to Mr. Snipes, not during his interview in the internal affairs investigation, which is what I believe he's just handed. I didn't see what he handed in, but I think it's
internal affairs investigation.
Mr. Swanson was not privy to any of the internal investigation because he's not allowed to be during the internal investigation.
I withdraw.
So I think there's some.
I withdraw. I'll withdraw.
You can elect.
It's not a problem. Don't want to create it. When you first learned from a retired beach patrol officer that some text had been sent, did you in any way attempt to approach my client, Mr. Snipes, to raise the issue with him? Why not?
I wanted to get the information first.
Okay, when you gathered the information first, did you personally make contact with my client?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because that was warranted a internal affairs investigation, and I would not contact him prior to the internal affairs investigation being done.
Did you approach him about taking sensitivity training?
No, I did not.
Is this the first time someone in the beach patrol has ever been accused of making a racist statement?
I wouldn't have the knowledge that I've only been here since January.
You have quite an extensive background as a law enforcement officer.
I worked part-time for the Daytona Shore Public Safety for 14 years.
Thank you, sir. And so then you are familiar with the law officer's Bill of Rights as articulated in Florida Statute 112-532, subsection 1, subsection E.
I am aware of the aware of it there.
Okay. Ms. Jones asked you why you had given an interview So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show Ms. Jones a copy of the statute that I have highlighted, since I have highlighted it. Subsection D is what I just, panel members, this is the statute, subsection that I just cited for you. We can have copies maybe if you would like. So may I approach? Thank you.
I'm just going to place an objection on the record to questioning regarding the Bill of Rights. I don't think that's for your purview. There's been a violation of the Bill of Rights. As I said earlier, there's a provision that allows for a remedy for that. Director Swanson was not conducting the internal investigation, so if he intends to point to something in here that was done, in his opinion, improperly during the investigation, this witness would have no knowledge of that.
I think you agree with her point. I'm going to tie it to.
Absolutely. Ms. Jones actually asked Mr. Swanson why he didn't give an interview during the IA. That's all this is in cross-examination to. She opened the door. If she opens the door, I'm allowed to inquire on cross.
I didn't ask about the Bill of Rights. I simply asked him if he was interviewed and if he wasn't, if he knew why he was not interviewed.
I don't excuse me.
No, sir. No, thank you. You familiar with the law officer's Bill of Rights, Mr. Swanson? And it says, and I quote, all identifiable witnesses shall be interviewed. Why weren't you interviewed? Why didn't you offer your interview?
I had already provided all the information that I had. I had no other information to provide.
But the information you provided, sir, was not under oath. Had you been interviewed, that would have been under oath, correct, sir?
Yes. However, I had merely given information to Captain Dennis. I didn't retrieve any information. All I had done is seen the information, made a phone call, and that's all the information that I had. I had nothing else to offer.
Okay, then why didn't you just simply sit for an interview? Because you're familiar with the law officer's Bill of Rights, you were required to do so.
Objection, that's mischaracterization of what the Bill of Rights says, and particularly in the section you cited. It's not what it says, or what it's for. And I'm going to got a continuing objection that anything regarding the Bill of Rights is irrelevant to this board.
Were you asked to give an interview?
No, I was not.
That's all I need to know. You did better than I did. Can I just have a moment, please, panel members? Mr. Swanson, when you met by the bridge or wherever with Scott Dowling, did he show you the Facebook posting?
The only thing I saw was that one picture that I identified already that just had the picture on his phone. It was nothing. I couldn't see anything other than the picture, this picture with that verb John.
Okay.
That's all I could see.
And when did you become aware, if at all, of the RIP thug on Facebook?
That came in after the rest of the information was given to Captain Vance.
Do you know how?
He met with Mr. Dowling, and Mr. Dowling gave him that and got him that information.
So Mr. Dowling claimed he got that information off of
I'm not sure where
Mr.
Mr. Dowling
Snipes.
got it from.
Oh, you don't know? Okay.
I don't know where he got it from. All I know that he gave that information to Captain Vance.
Now, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show these two pictures. Panel members, I'm going to show these two pictures. I want to be perfectly clear, if I could, please, sir. Did Mr. Snipes send out this picture, this cartoon?
No. It was, it says, sent by somebody that wasn't an employee.
Okay. Did Mr. Snipes send out this cartoon?
No.
Panel members? Let me be very clear now. Did Mr. Snipes send out this cartoon?
No.
That's all I have, subject to redirect. Panel members, thank you.
Just a couple of quick questions. You have that timeline up there. Okay. So the pictures that you were just, the pictures that you were just shown, particularly, this picture that was not sent by Mr. Snipes. Did he make a comment?
Pardon me?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it's one of the pictures you showed.
Thank you, I just didn't know which one it was.
Did he admit to having made a comment to that photo on his text, on the text trail?
Just on the timeline that I'm looking at, it says that it was sent not by a Bleach County safety employee.
Give me 1 second, please. Let me show you, I'm going to show them the actual screenshot from the phone.
It's got right on it.
Screenshot from. Sure. Yep. The one before it. This one. I'm going to show you, this is a screenshot of the cell phone of Mr. Snipes, starting with the initial picture that he initiated. In regards to the picture, said these skills are to die for. Was there a remark made by Mr. Snipes to that photo on the text message trail?
LOL.
This is the top.
Yes, there is a response back that says LOL,
And what, in your understanding, what does that mean?
laughing out loud.
So while he didn't send some of the pictures that you were just
Did
showing.
respond to it, yes.
Okay. If you could just tell us, please, why, or tell the board why you found the totality of these text messages in Facebook posts offensive.
It's improper redirect, it's opening up a new subject, plus it's been asked and answered. He already talked about how he found it offensive and why he did what he did. We're now just rehashing testimony. It certainly doesn't address anything I asked him about on cross. Thank you.
He was asked questions as to each specific photo, and what was offensive about this, and what was offensive about this particular photo. What I'm trying to follow up on with regards to that is, with regards to the whole trail of photos, or the whole group text thread, whether or not it was that which was offensive to him, or whether one individual photo was offensive, or he found to be racially insensitive. That's what I'm trying to ask you. Why, you were asked questions on cross about each individual photo. What about that photo said Trayvon Martin or said George Zimmerman, or reflected anything of a racial or ethnic derogatory nature? So I want to know, in a general sense, why you found those things. As you said, you were offended by the first photo you saw, and why you felt they were connected to George Zimmerman and Trayvon
Just
Martin.
the totality of the circumstances of all of them combined together. I was offended by the first one, and the more I saw, the more offended I became. I was offended by all of them.
Did the timing of the actions of Mr. Snipes have anything to do with your feelings about this?
Personally, yes. Personally, yes.
Okay, and why was what was the significance of the timing in regards to the George Zimmerman trial? What was the significance to you that contributed to the reflecting poorly on your department?
Just an employee, employee sent, it's right after, the day after the verdict had been put out, for this information to go out there and these pictures to go out there. It was insensitive. I just found it to be offensive. I don't know what else I can say.
Did you feel that it showed poor judgment on the part of Mr.
Yes, yes.
That's all I have.
Briefly. You said with respect to totality of the circumstances, your issue was that, quote, the pictures were out there? Sir?
Okay, all these pictures here?
Yes. Were out there, that contributed to the totality of your infuriation with Mr. Snipes?
Not, the original picture was sent by him, but then the ones that he commented on as well. He was still involved in the pictures being sent, and all of them.
Well, so you've already testified to which pictures he sent to, so if you say still involved, you may want to pull out one.
Objection.
Pictures are out
Answer
there.
the question the way you want to answer the question.
Facebook, was that, do you know whether or not Mr. Snipes had a public Facebook page?
I don't know, I don't have a Facebook account. know nothing about Facebook.
Okay, so did Mr. Snipes put the pictures out there?
I don't know.
In other words, Mr. Snipes sent the pictures that you took offense to 9 people.
Their pictures were part of the thread as well. There's pictures in there on the thread as well.
That were sent by people that had nothing to do with Mr. Snipes?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You took exception to the phrase LOL, sir?
I just said it was laughing out loud.
Okay, but you said that you found offensive also?
Just to laugh at something like that, yeah, I did.
Well, no, sir, I'm asking, because I'm trying to clarify from my own understanding. You were offended by the phrase LOL.
If somebody laughs out loud at that picture, yes, I am.
Okay, so you envisioned at that point, Mr. Snipes was sitting by his phone laughing out loud, because he put that comment out there?
That's just what the phrase says, laughing
Okay.
out loud. What else, why would we put it in there if he wasn't doing that?
And in your opinion, the phrase LOL falls within the guidelines that Mr. Snipes has been cited for by the county?
Not just that one picture, no. He's not getting that just for that one picture.
Okay, what efforts have you made, sir? I know you commented on the fact that Mr. Snipes, from what you could tell, didn't offer a sort of solution to what he did. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
However, after the Facebook thing came out, he shut his Facebook page down, correct?
He said he had it open for a long time. When that came out, he shut it down, yes.
Okay, so he did that. Mr. Snipes could have gone to the media and talked about the internal investigation, could have talked about how he felt his rights were being deprived, but he didn't do that, did he? In fact, he stayed out of the press entirely, didn't he? And that helped to, and no sooner did he do that, than the story sort of died down about this, didn't it?
I'm going to object this is beyond the scope of my redirect and not relevant to the facts of the case.
Well, it has
His
to do with
client wants
whether.
to testify to some of that, then his client can testify, but Mr. Barr is essentially testifying. He's asking questions beyond the scope of what I questioned on redirect.
Well, I think that that's fine. And he made a point of saying that he didn't do it. They did, maybe less so, that's what
Right, he asked a question about Facebook, but now he's talking about did the media die down, and isn't that, how does that relate to what he did to make the media die down?
With all due respect, this witness has testified about the image of the county in the press and has talked about pictures, quote, out there. It's been talked about on direct, and now counsel, the panel's ruled on it, and the council's just getting a little argumentative.
Well, is there a question on the floor at this point?
Yes, there is.
Okay, hold on. Can you state a point for this?
This is in follow-up to the pictures out there. Question that was asked on redirect. Mr. Swanson, has there been any further press, or, I mean, there probably will be after today, but aside from that, it's not been in the newspaper, has it?
Not recently, no.
Okay. So that hasn't brought any additional embarrassment or anything like that you're aware of?
Recently, no.
Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Did you read the newspaper this morning or watch the news?
No, I have not had a chance to do that.
So if it's in the newspaper today or
I
on the news this
wouldn't
morning?
have any knowledge. If it was in today, I wouldn't know that.
Okay, that's all.
Are there any questions from board members? Do you train employees on the media policy?
The social media policy, that's done through personnel. Personnel generate that policy, and they do the training for that. When the employees come in for their orientation, they have that as part of it.
You were made aware of it, so all topics of the chart.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Yes, sir. You would want me to ask this witness to stick around? Thank you for your time and testimony. Appreciate it. Judge, all right? Next witness.
Ready?
Yeah. for the record that you were here earlier and were sworn in?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record, please.
My name is David Bass.
Mr. Vanis, could you please tell the board where you are employed?
I'm employed by Bush County BC.
How long have you been employed by Volusia County Beach Safety?
16 years.
And they'll let us know if they can't hear you, because this room's a little bigger than what we've been using.
Sorry, I'll try to speak up. I can't even hear him.
I'm sorry?
I can't even hear him.
Okay.
It never hurts to speak up.
I'll try to speak up. Sorry.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of a low voice anyway, so.
Apologize.
What is your present assignment with the Volusia County Beach Department?
I'm the criminal investigation supervisor.
Do you have any other assignments today?
I am.
Right now?
I'm also the acting internal affairs investigator for the Bush County Department of Public Protection.
So you're doing two jobs right now?
Yes, ma'am.
As the criminal investigator for the beach department, what kinds of things do you do?
I investigate property crimes, death investigations, we have drownings on the beach or something of that nature.
How long have you been a law enforcement officer?
For 9 years.
So you started with beach patrol as a lifeguard,
Yes, ma'am. I started when I was 17 as a lifeguard, worked my way up.
and then were you cross-certified? We've heard about triple certifications and,
Yes, ma'am. County cross certified. I went through school and went through school.
okay. So you have been a law enforcement officer about 9 years. How long have you been a captain in the beach department?
For a little more than 4 years.
And approximately when did you become the well, let me ask it this way. When you were promoted to captain,